this meeting is being recorded, and also the transcript is on for auto caption, so try not to talk over each other. I think that's it. Let's see. Would somebody who's not me be willing to take notes just because I'm a little frazzled?
Sure. Happy to.
So I made an agenda and posted it when I posted this meeting, but we can also talk about other stuff because I didn't necessarily like check in with everybody and like gather all the agenda items that we might want, because I know there's also the stuff, Daniela, that you brought up about the crosswalks, and there's some other stuff anyway that's like not on the official agenda, but we can file that under matters not anticipated and just talk about whatever we feel like we need to talk about.
You need to do a call to order, a formal call to order.
We are hereby order. We are hereby call to order. It is 6:06 p.m. on the 4th of April. And we have here Eileen Rooney, Benny Wheat, Daniela Nedbalik. Am I saying your last name right?
Yeah, that was great.
Lindsay Averbook, and a member of the public, Lucy. I discovered, can I just share this little anecdote with you? After having watched the recent town council meeting, they don't do the like nerdy thing that I do, which is make everyone go around and like say that they are president. They just like say who, like the chair just like says who's president. Oh, that's a great idea. I should have been doing that all. Instead of being like, Eileen, are you present? Daniela, are you present? Which is what I usually do. Live and learn. Anyway, so the two things that are sort of on my mind are the flag situation and this like pride concert thing that's sort of in the works now. And then Danielle, you had mentioned the sidewalks, and we also have a anonymous donation of swag. Check it out. So we have this kind of like pile of, you know, like stickers and bracelets, kind of similar to the stuff we had last year, buttons, I don't know, things like that. So that's pretty rad. But we probably will want like flag, I think, for this donation of swag, but we probably will want to maybe inventory that stuff and then figure out if there's other swag that we want to procure. What else? What else should be on our list to talk about?
I tried to find in my sent folder like the materials, but it's just like the transgender day of visibility. Even though it was March 31st, we could, like last year, we had profiled members of the LGBTQ plus community. We could still use those profiles, and so basically it's a list of a few of the many transgender and non-binary people who have impacted society and culture. Yeah, so I thought I sent it. I swear I sent it, but I can't find it in my sent folder.
I think I saw it. I think I saw something, a list of, yeah.
Okay. And then I think another thing we might need to talk about, whether it's attached to the flag or in matters unanticipated, is, and I don't know if anyone here is aware of this yet, I found out this morning that there is a group of residents who are not happy and have supported a piece written into the Wakefield Daily Item that is directed to town council members and the HRC, specific to our the flag request or the amendment. So I don't know if it's us that we preliminarily talk about it here and then talk about it at our meeting, but just maybe, I don't know if we want to, or.
Yeah, I think we definitely should talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, Lindsay, go for it.
Would you mind just sharing a little bit more about that, just because I'm not really familiar with what the concerns are? Could you just tell me a little bit more about that, if you don't mind? I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
The background on the flag policy, because that's, I think, where this arose out of. So the town has this flag policy that allows us to raise the pride flag, but it was only in this like one kind of weird inconspicuous spot. And since there's only one flagpole we're allowed to use, the fact that Pride and Juneteenth are in the same month makes it awkward. So I went before the town council a couple weeks ago, last week, and asked if they would amend the flag policy in such a way that we'd be able to use some more visible flagpoles in town, like maybe the one at Town Hall or at the Vets Memorial Field over where they do the farmers market or whatever other flagpoles in town. They were pretty in favor. They sounded good. They sent it back to Tom Mullen to draft the like official legal language for the policy, but they sounded like, it didn't sound like there was any opposition on the town council, which is great. But then, Danielle, you can take over and talk about this letter that went out to the item.
Yeah. So Eileen and Benny, you seem to know it. I see your heads are nodding. Lindsay, I just took a screenshot of it. My timer ran out for Facebook because, gotta have that digital well-being for a reason. So I got that screenshot in time. I just emailed it to you. So basically this resident is upset that I'm trying to say what this person said without aligning with it. And I'm trying to state facts, not read from comments. But basically this person is saying that the LGBTQ plus community dictate themselves as being special. And so she's questioning, why would the HRC want a group like them to be able to fly a flag, and why not other groups? It's basically it's titled "Leave the Stars and Stripes Alone." She just wants only the American flag to be flown in town. There is comments in there about the LGBTQ. I should quote, quote unquote, we have watched in the past years what the very liberal LGBTQ group has done to the breakdown of families, to our school agendas, in the workplace, government, sports, demanding rights, etc. They already have rights as citizens under our Constitution, so why do they need special rights beyond it? So that special rights is to allude to us wanting to fly the Juneteenth flag without having to take down the pride flag. And, yeah. So you'll be able to read that. I sent it to your email in depth. Yeah.
Lucy, I take it this is also part of why you're here.
That is exactly why I'm here. I read the letter to the editor first, and then saw the actual article about the policy change, and I felt compelled to do something to respond, but I didn't know the best way to do that. So I saw that this meeting was scheduled already, so I figured I'd check in with the people who are already probably talking about it.
I love it.
Would you mind? Oh, I'm sorry, Benny. I apologize.
I'm just saying thank you.
Would you mind? Could I hear you, Lucy? Could I hear your thoughts? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I thought it was, I was shocked that the paper would even print it, honestly. It seemed inappropriate to be in the paper. And it was actually printed directly next to another piece that was talking about how the paper won't be printing vitriol and spewing hate in regards to the upcoming campaign, or for folks running for council and such. So I thought it seemed inappropriate to be in the paper. It seemed very hateful, and just also a lot of conflicting points. So I think there's a way that it can be addressed respectfully and also factually, because based on my understanding of the policy, it also doesn't really, it's not actually correct. The understanding isn't quite correct of what would be changing and what would stay the same.
Thank you.
Additional not related to that article, but a thing that's related to the flag policy, which I think is worth adding in because it was like somewhat hinted at in her article. Is one thing that I did not realize when I requested this change to the flag policy is that the POW flag is flown at Town Hall, which I didn't realize that it's flown across the street at the Veterans Memorial Common, at the Upper Common, but it's also flown at Town Hall, and they can't fly 3 flags at once. It has to be like just the US flag and one other. So by asking to fly the Juneteenth flag at Town Hall, we would be asking them to take down the POW MIA flag, which is like not my favorite idea. Like I don't have any intention of like disrespecting vets or whatever. So I reached out to the Veterans Advisory Board to see like what their thoughts are about this or what we could do or just like to have a dialogue. So their meeting is on the same day as the HRC meeting. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to go. Their meeting starts at 6:30 and our meeting starts at 7. So I'm hoping to be able to go to their meeting, talk it over, hear what their thoughts or ideas or concerns might be, bring that back to the HRC then at 7 o'clock that day, which would then require that the town council delay their vote on this policy, just because I would love to get the vets' input before doing anything. I don't want to do something and then have it be like, the HRC hates veterans. It's like, no, that's not what I'm trying to do. I just want to have a visible pride flag and a visible Juneteenth flag without like screwing anybody else over. So my hope is to ask the town council to delay their vote on the flag policy by one more meeting so that I have a chance to like have some dialogue with the vet board, the vet advisory board. FYI, that's what's going on with that. And so Chicky Taylor referred to that in her article, that she wants the US flag and the flag something having to do with people who fought for our flag. And I think she's referring to the POW flag. I'm gonna get out of my car and go in the house now. So forgive me if my Wi-Fi goes wonky. You all talk amongst yourselves.
Great. Well, thanks, Benny. Yeah, I think many of us, if not all of us on the HRC, didn't even realize that that was going to be an exchange. We knew that there was a policy.
I broke your thingy.
You did.
in place to protect. Benny, I
Sorry.
heard you say you broke something. No worries. It's funny. But yeah, so that's something. Not, I was in the airport waiting for my flight home from vacation, and I was like, well, yay, this is lovely to get home to.
Just to jump in there, Daniela, my son read that article, and it was a tough conversation at home. Actually, I'm like a little emotional about it, about the way in which LGBTQ families are portrayed as well, where we sort of pride ourselves on family values. And anyway, I don't mean to get emotional, but it was offensive. And we've developed intentionally really strong relationships with individuals here in the town. I mean, my son goes to school here, he has friends here, we've joined the HRC, like we're active participants in the town. And to see the paper post something just so offensive, and for our family to feel like it was a direct comment on whether we have family values or whatever it is, it was awful. So, I am not terribly surprised by the item. They have allowed things like this to happen in the past. They have an active writer that writes things that are not appropriate, and that's also allowed. But in the same sense, they also post our photos from our events, and they share information that we ask them. And so it's a very confusing message to send when, you'll see pride events posted and pictures, And then, 6 months later, you would receive a letter to the editor about, whether someone finds LGBTQ individuals to be appropriate or not. It was a tough day. It was a big conversation at home, and it was completely inappropriate. And what a great learning experience to
Yes.
be able to say, like, this is sadly reality that we face, and now we have to make good choices about how we handle it going forward. So I'd love for us to draft a response to go back to the item, and maybe it's a direct comment to Chicky Taylor, or it could be right to the item. I just want us to also remember, this may change nothing. This may be us literally posting a response, but I'm not 100% sure that they're going to make any adjustments in the way that they publish their paper. I'm just saying, I'm doing that a little bit for me, like, to say it out loud. Like, yes, I feel like we should react, but just know that this may change nothing.
I mean, I'm so sorry for your experience, and I agree. I'm reading it, Daniela. Thank you for sending it. This is a wildly offensive article on many levels, and as multiple people at this point have pointed out, it's factually inaccurate on multiple levels and offensive to multiple different populations, most notably the LGBTQ community. But I would say this is not representative of what I would hope to be much of the town, most of the town, if not all of the town. Is like, where in the paper was this? Like, how was? So is this like,
It was a
you
letter to
mentioned,
the
and
editor.
so, okay, so that's where, is this one particular individual, do they notoriously speak up when the HRC does events in general in the
I don't know
past?
about the
or-
HRC, but she writes letters to the editor, like, like she's a pretty active writer, right into the paper, person.
She goes to meetings too, where there's like public, like when the town members can speak up, she
She speaks up. Okay,
Yep.
Thank you for sharing this. I agree, it's horribly offensive, and I agree with you, and I'm sorry for everyone's experience with this. I agree that we should probably do something, but I agree that it may go nowhere, and that's unfortunate, but it also may go somewhere. So
I think it's also good,
important to
even if
hear.
it goes nowhere in terms of the items
Yeah.
publishing like habits. People read the item, right? And I think to send a message of inclusion and belonging is important. So, and I think individuals can also do that. Like I heard from like a friend of mine in town that she had written a letter back to the item, I think, or something, or to town council, maybe. She wrote a letter in response. So I think that there are individuals in town who are also expressing like what they want to see in this town. But I agree. I think it would be good for the HRC to make a statement or something. I wouldn't want to respond necessarily to Chicky Taylor, but I think a letter, just like a letter to the item to say like, here's the policy that we're trying to make. These are the reasons, the intention and the hope behind flying the pride flag and the Juneteenth flag. I have a question, which I don't know, like politically, what's the best move? Because like individuals in town can contact the town council members, they can submit public comment on like agenda items that are before the town council. I don't know if it would be seen as like sort of the HRC sort of like doing some political machinations or something to include in the letter, like any residents of town who are interested in expressing their views on this, like we encourage you to contact the town council. That could also backfire because if a bunch of people who don't want the pride flag start contacting, my hope certainly would be that more people in town are in favor of the pride flag than are opposed to it, or the Juneteenth flag. But anyway, I don't know if you guys have thoughts on that.
And is this really specific to June? I mean, couldn't this also be relevant in the future for other groups and celebrations? Like it wasn't necessarily, like, yes, we were inspired by this really awkward takedown of the pride flag. We're like, all right, well, this is, you know, but it wasn't solely for the purpose of
Right.
Juneteenth and Pride. It just was like, this is how this has come about. This is an example of why this is relevant for us to take a second look at this policy and perhaps could we make an amendment? You know, it wasn't like, oh, you know.
It also references, I mean, it oddly references like flying a Israel flag during Hanukkah. Like it's a very strange, the entire article is very strange. So it really, yes, Danielle, I agree with you. They really did include a really strange mix of literally everything in this letter that I don't know who they were trying to get with this particular letter, but I do think some sort of a statement. I agree, not to the specific person, but maybe in general where we stand, just in relation to the facts about the flag policy and why it's important to have a visible flag, you know, in general. I think that would be helpful. And I think we can do that in a way that wouldn't garner negative support, hopefully. I mean, there's always going to be one or two or a few, unfortunately, but yeah, it's a bizarre letter.
Question, if would this ever turn to a vote? Like, would this be something that would end up on the ballot for the town? I guess my worry, I would be even more devastated to find out that we ask the town whether or not we should be flying the pride flag and then come to find out the town would rather we didn't fly the pride flag. Is there any concerns there of that?
I mean, I think it could be possible to put something, I think it's too late for the town meeting. I think you have already, I'm not totally sure about this, but I think you already would have had to have submitted a warrant article for something to be brought before the town for town meeting. I also don't necessarily even know what form that would take at town meeting. Like it's not a vote on like a bylaw. Anyway. And you know, for right now, I think it's too late for the upcoming election. But like we saw not too long ago, if you petition, like you can get stuff put on a special election. That's what happened also for the special election that had to do with the warrior logo. Do you guys remember that? It was like a non-binding referendum vote for the town to express like whether they wanted the warrior logo to stay or to go.
Yeah.
That was done by petition, you know, like citizen petition. So, you know, it's a thing that could happen.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
our meeting is in about 2 weeks and a day. Do we have like a meeting specifically for this before then? Do we as a Pride subcommittee help draft it, send it to members for review in advance and as part of the materials, so that way they can vote on it rather than, you know, have like an example of a letter to vote on versus voting on whether or not to respond, because at that point then it would take another week or two to draft it, and then it's literally like a month after it happened. And it's more of like striking while the iron is hot, because people may be looking at us and they might be looking at the town council now. Like, okay, what are you going to do about this, or what now? And I just, you know, I'm a member of LGBTQ, and yeah, I feel you, Eileen. I wouldn't want us to like not do anything because I think there are people who are in our community that are of the rainbow community, and they feel unseen, they feel invisible, probably. You know, I'm not gonna say how they feel, but they're not great feelings coming from this. So, and I don't think anyone wants their hometown to be an alienating place. It's supposed to be home. It literally has the word home in hometown. So, yeah.
So one question I have is, do we as a subcommittee have the authority to just like write a letter and submit it without having to bring it back to the HRC? And I'm not like totally sure about that. I'm actually writing an email to Maria right now to see if she has any thoughts on that. But I don't know if you all have like an understanding about that kind of thing.
I don't think subcommittees can do that because we are a subset representation of the overall HRC. And because we're more than 2 people, especially, so we can't do it on our own, but we could say, for example, I think draft some communication if there's especially 2 of us working on it, and or like talking about it one-on-one, or like having like a review process where it goes one-on-one, and then we submit it as part of our materials at the April 19th meeting. Then everyone would have to vote on it. We can't just like write it and then submit it to the, unless you meant like submit it to board materials versus Wakefield.
No, I was talking about submitting it to the item.
Yeah,
But
I don't
yeah,
think
I think that you're right, that we would have to bring it before the HRC first.
Yep.
We have such a nice, quick moving process here. It's so satisfying.
How did, I think that Maria wrote a letter to the item in response to the mascot like a year ago. And is that right? Am I making that up? And I wonder how that process worked, I guess.
Yeah, Benny, good call emailing Maria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, shall we move on to lighter things? Now we know that we need to get some feedback from Maria and guidance.
Yeah.
Was there anything else, Benny, because you had mentioned the flag raising. So like, was there anything in addition to the article that you were thinking of covering?
Yeah, just that update about the POW MIA flag. So that's my hope. Do you guys think that's, so the current flag policy is that we can request that the town raise a flag. It has to be, I think, with 30 days lead time or something, which gives us still plenty of time before June. So do you think it's okay to ask the town council to delay their vote on the policy until after I've had a chance to talk to the Vets Advisory Board?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'm gonna do that. I asked the Vets Advisory Board already if I could be at the top, not at the top, but like, could you please put me early in your agenda? Because our meeting starts a half hour after your meeting. So hopefully that will happen on the 19th. So I'll be in contact with the town council about bringing the policy to a vote at their next meeting, which would be like at the end of April sometime, I think.
That was smart to go to that meeting. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, and then once they have voted, hopefully in favor of the amendment to the flag policy, then I can make the actual request. I think at that same meeting, I will make the actual request for the flags. My plan was to ask them, if this ends up still being possible, considering the MIA flag thing, is to have the Juneteenth flag at town hall and the pride flag at over by where the farmers market happens. Does that sound like a good arrangement? Cool. And we already have a Juneteenth flag raising ceremony, I think, scheduled for the 15th. So that'll be good. It will be up from the 15th, like for 1 week from that date.
That's great.
Stay tuned about the flag situation.
Thank you.
Not on my calendar.
Yeah, I think it's penciled in, but I'm hoping it's like firmly penciled. I think it's happening on the 15th. And then, you know, presumably we would be able to do the pride flag raising on the 1st. That's what I'm requesting, is that they raise it on the 1st of June. So once that's like fully approved by town council or whatever, and we have the go ahead, we can start promoting for like an event. Hopefully like surrounding the flag, like that the flag raising can be something, you know, with some juice to it. What do you think that would look like? What could we, last year it was just like, you know, some folks, we had a table, they raised the thing. I don't know if you guys have any like ideas or thoughts about if there's more we could add to that to make it more of a fuller kind of event. It would be like a Wednesday or something, so it's a little awkward.
We get, you had already mentioned like the concert, right? Or sorts. I wonder, is this for the Juneteenth or Pride flag raising?
Oh, I was talking back about the pride flag raising.
Okay. I was thinking, you know, there's, I'm not sure if we need permits for people to like be able to have like local vendors, like set up tables to, so there's the Somerville has, I haven't been, but I know they have a holiday market. And so it's a bunch of businesses that are LGBTQI plus owned or supportive. And I just wonder, like, do we have any somewhat local businesses around us that would be interested to just set up a table and be able to promote whatever they're selling, you know, candles or what have you. I mean, it might be like a cute little marketplace sort of thing to add to the music. So we have like entertainment, we have something that people can like walk around and interact with people, more people of the community. And it also like outreaches, if we have vendors who have that community, they can have, you know, people come in. And so it might just be a little bit more of a hearty celebration and more connection. I think that's, I'm thinking along the lines of increasing engagement. And so that was just something that popped up in my mind. It's just, how do I even go about like finding these businesses? But I think I have like a few people I could start asking. It's just, I don't know how many we can get. And if we need special permits or they need special permits, because the farmer's market you do.
Yeah, so, okay, two thoughts. One is, we have a permit for the concert. So there's this, it's like it's not like a whole festival or whatever, but it's like a one person, one musician, this like singer-songwriter lady is gonna come do a concert on the Common on the 19th, that Saturday. I had, I think I put into the permit application that there might be food, because I was like, I don't know what we're gonna do. Let's see what happens. So, and I'm not positive, but I might be able to make amendments to the permit application. For example, if we want like, yeah, like other like tables or whatever, if we want any food, we have to get something having to do with the health department, but I don't think it's very onerous. I think it's like pretty easy to get like the go ahead from the health department. 1 year. Okay, so let me set the context. 3 years ago now, before COVID, we had this whole Pride Month series of events. So there was like a book reading, a kids like book reading thing. There was an ice cream social. There was a beer and wine tasting, like big, like sort of party thing event. There was something else that I can't remember what it was. I think there was 4 events. Anyway, so I was thinking about that ice cream social, and I was like, this concert is supposed to be like a family-friendly concert. I was like, maybe we could have ice cream. It would be kind of fun. And maybe like you're saying, we could have other vendors kind of like involved, and there could be like a little situation there. I think I would check with the town about whether we would be able to like tack that onto our permit. I'm hoping we would. For the actual Pride flag raising event, which would be on the 1st, I don't think we would be able to do that because we would have had to have already applied for the permit. You have to apply for the permit 90 days in advance.
Okay.
It's just like less time than we have. But adding it onto the permit we already have, maybe that would be possible.
Well, then for the flag raising event, thinking about taking a page out of the Juneteenth, like the poetry reading was really good. Hearing it was telling a little bit of story. You just like, it was educational. It was, beautiful. It was like engaging. In one thing I want to sort of tweak is this language of diversity initiative. Things are not so easily black and white, and things need to be more handled in a discussion. And so how do people feel about having like a panel? And like the mission of the panel can be some sort of specific theme where it's either people talking about having to come out, or their experiences, or being open at work, or just something that's like specific. And then you have residents, whether maybe it's 3 residents and one moderator, that could also be a resident. And we could get someone who's of the community, an ally, another person of the community, and the moderator could be either an HRC member, or that way maybe it's like a 20-minute panel, allow for Q&A from anyone who's attending, or some sort of reading, like a poetry reading, like that was done before. It was really cool. But I mean, she had quite the voice, so that in itself was like just stunning.
I love having, some kind of reading, or even also like at the Juneteenth, there was like a singer, there was a poetry reading, there was like a little historical kind of like speech with background. I feel like we could pull that off, and like getting the GSA kids involved. I think they have some other name that's not GSA. I can't remember what they're called. Anyway, the students, I feel like we could easily get some folks who would be into like participating and doing something cool.
Yeah, I think getting the kids involved would be fantastic. And as far as like educational aspects, like what could be a theme there? We could do flags, the history of the flags and like what they mean, because there now can be like different ones, and what and people may see them, like the bisexual flag, for example, is like pink, purple, blue. They may see that and not really know what it is. So it could be informational, just be like, okay, that's what this one is, the Philadelphia flag, the progress flags, just like so that way there's context as far as education.
Yeah, I wonder, as you were talking about a panel, I don't know that a panel would be, I have trouble picturing the panel as part of the flag raising event, just because it's like, well, maybe I'm wrong, you tell me. But one thing I was thinking is, I think a panel could be interesting, and it could even be, well, whatever we want, however we want to do it. Like, I think that it could be a debate, sort of like there is heterogeneity within queer communities about these topics, right? So like you have some folks who are like the traditional pride flag all the way, and there are other people who are like, I want a more like a flag that reflects Black and brown communities, or I want a flag that reflects this and that. And so there is like, I think, legitimate differences of opinion of like, should you have a zillion flags for every individual identity? Should you have just one flag that supposedly represents everybody? And I think that's a healthy debate to have. And I also think that you can then work in some of these other pieces of information of like, why do we use the progress flag? And like history stuff, right? Like about Black and brown folks being marginalized even within the gay rights movement. Like, there's like more stuff that you can like bring in there. I think it could be interesting.
A couple of things that you mentioned that I love. So like doing the pride flag raising, and then having the schools come out or anything like that. The Galvin recently did a performance of like one of the songs from The Greatest Showman with like This Is Me. It was a whole group of kids, and it was fantastic. And so, I mean, something that we could certainly ask them to come and do if we were up for that. because that was super cool. I worry a little bit about us having a debate and where like the debate right now is whether or not LGBTQ people like are okay. And so I do worry about like fueling, not that like we would fuel it, but do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want them to see like there's any
Like showing
division.
division.
Yeah, within our own community. It makes me, of course there is, right? In every community, everywhere, in your family, in your life, in your work, in your whatever. I just worry a little bit that like that will be taken out of context and somehow they'll be like, well, they can't even decide what they want. Like, you know, anyway, that was my grumpy Karen voice.
I agree. I also think, I think a panel is a great idea, but I think it would need to be kind of more highly controlled and not so much a debate, maybe because of obviously what we're seeing in the item. There is a group of people in this town who are loudly speaking of things that are maybe inconsistent with our message or our mission as the HRC or even as the town. So I think a panel is a great idea. It would be really cool to have, some diversity with some speakers for the Juneteenth event rather, or whatever we're able to do. For the Pride flag raising event, could we just get like an ice cream truck or like a food truck? Do we need like a special permit? Because I would think they would have an interest in like just getting sales from, we could probably get, some sort of entertainment somewhere without getting anything special if they're just doing it anyway, like ice cream trucks or something, right?
So
For
I
that
wasn't
specific event, I
involved.
was around, but
Who was involved in, were any of you involved in the Latino Heritage Month event? I was not either, but I remember hearing from the folks who were doing that they had planned to get a food truck, and it turned out to be a challenge because the food truck owners want a pretty significant deposit up front, and they want a guarantee of sales.
okay.
So they want like $800 up front, and then they want a guarantee that they're going to be able to make like X number of sales. So it was like a little bit challenging to try to get a food truck, it turned out. Like they thought it would be easy, like, hey, come to this place, park your truck, sell some food, but that's
what like an ice cream truck though, even could we even do that? I mean, that's a little different. I mean, where they're mobile, like could we do that because they drive? So they could just
totally do.
They park in parks and parking lots and stuff like that. So I mean, can't they just like park at the school parking lot or something? I don't know. Somewhere local.
Yeah, maybe.
For the history of the flag and like all of the different flags that we have, could we do that as like a pamphlet or a handout at the actual event that could show every individual flag and like us physically walking around and like welcoming people and handing it out?
I love that idea.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love that.
That's great, because then people can see physically what we're talking about. And I think that, like when I said progress flag, people may not know which one that is. So seeing it being very visual, I think that's a great idea, Eileen.
I agree.
Would that be something that that we would have to bring to we would want to budget and maybe bring to the April meeting to sort of figure out how much is it going to cost to sort of print out so many pamphlets. I know we've had pamphlets before in the past, so maybe we have some sort of idea of how much it would be cost, because then we can vote on it.
Yeah, I think it would be easy to find out how much it costs. Like I printed out stuff for Indigenous Peoples Day, and I don't remember how much it was, but it was easy. I just called them and they were like, oh yeah, double-sided color, blah, blah, blah. It's this many cents per page or whatever.
And Lucy.
Another just alternative or in addition to is like, how they've done books in the park where they just like on signs, they have like a whole book, like, so you walk through an area and you
yeah, that's a great
so if you get that, it would be like you're not handing out propaganda, which people might be afraid of, and also maybe might be cheaper, I don't know, but it could also just be in addition to. And I think that then it's like an interactive experience, and it could be up maybe for a little bit longer.
That's interesting. I wonder if you could even do a little like activity for the kids. Like, can you find the like asexual flag or I don't even know, you know, like whatever it is.
Or like a scavenger hunt or make it like some sort of
Mhm.
interactive thing. I like that idea. That's a great idea, Lucy, by the way. Thank you.
Okay, so could we do a scavenger hunt, Lindsay, with the businesses in the town where like we like, you know, the BD library does, I don't know if you know this, but for the summer reading program, like kids have like a pamphlet and they have to go to like different businesses in the town and they have to find the bee that's
Ooh,
like
I like where
on the
you're going
different
with this.
windows and stuff. And then like somebody in that, you know, in Sweet Bay or whatever signs it to say like, I got this. And then they win a prize. I don't know. But like then we could sort of include the businesses in some way. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, I like that too.
Lucy, for the books in the park, I don't feel like I know what that is. Like, is it a post? Like, what does it look like?
Yeah, it's like a sign like staked into the ground.
Got
Yeah.
it. Okay, cool.
And then there will be like, yeah, a series of them. I think it became a thing, as particularly for me, I was living in Salem at the time, but during COVID. So like, instead of going to the library to do like a story hour, you'd go to the common and read a book that way.
Almost
That's
like a
awesome.
walking tour kind of thing, like a self-guided tour sort of concept, only with a book or with educational pieces or things like that. I think it's a really cool idea. And they're on this type of signs that we were using or doing for the ones that we were doing at the lake, that kind of thing, like the 2-post.
Oh,
They're
sure.
not incredibly expensive like either. They're pretty cost efficient. If it's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Thank you.
It's awesome.
I mean, I don't want to be too like janky about it, but I feel like we could take those, of which we have a giant box, and like tape laminated like pride flags to them or something, you know?
Right. It's the hate has no home here signs,
Mhm.
right? That's what we're
Yeah.
thinking.
Yes,
We can
thank you. I
also
was struggling
sell
with like getting
those.
my words, but that's exact. Yes, we could. That's a great idea too. We could sell them.
Yeah, at any event we have, we should be trying to sell the hate has no home here signs, because they are just like in a box doing nothing. Okay, so I'm seeing a pride flag raising event that involves some singing and or poetry reading, maybe a historical context little moment of some sort, with many different inclusive flags posted, you know, around on those lawn sign thingies. And then possibly an ice cream truck. I don't know how you contact the ice cream truck person. So I'm just gonna like chase them down in the street and be like, will you come to our pride event? And okay, and then for the concert day, there's the concert, there's maybe some kind of food vendor situation going on, possibly ice cream, possibly whatever else we can find. And then maybe this like queer friendly vendor tables, if we can find anybody. How do we go about contacting vendors, you think?
Well, I was gonna see if like we'd even be able to do it, and then I mean, I was honestly gonna try and Google and then like contact a couple of local business owners and ask if they know of any. I don't know if there's like some sort of network that we can tap into.
They have to be. Do they have to be queer vendors, or can they be allies?
I think allies would be great because they're also like they're integral to the community.
And if that's the case, could we start with the people that are part of the farmers market?
What, like, not the farmers? What do you mean?
Well, there are vendors that go to the farmer's market that are not farmers.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Baby Soap Company. I
Yeah.
remember that name.
And like,
Like local different vendors that, yeah.
Yeah.
Also a lot of like area, like businesses, like restaurants, I've seen them sort of advertise their random occasions and do different, like I've seen beer, like different breweries there, different occasions. They do all kinds of things, not just usually, but I don't know
I would
where they
be
get a list
interested
or
in
where
it.
their list comes from.
I'd be interested in it being businesses that have like something going on having to do with like, you know, the queer community, not just like buy these random biscuits, but you know, like something that actually is relevant.
right. Do you not like biscuits, Benny? Come on, gosh.
Hey, we've all got our things. Yeah. Okay, what I can, hold on, let me add it to my list here that to contact Steve Mayo and see if we're allowed to like add some more stuff to our permit.
And so I did just Google, and there is a masslive.com article that came in at the end of Pride last year, and it showcases 31 LGBTQ owned businesses in Massachusetts. So
Nice.
there might be some like sites like this or articles like this that can give us a starting point. And then we can just reach out. I also don't know if there's like any other communities like groups like us that already have some connections. You know, if we want to like collaborate with Reading or Woburn, anyone who's like nearby Linfield. Maybe this has been done before.
Stoneham has a Pride Day, right? And they
Who?
Stoneham,
Hmm.
and I think they had like a little festival in their common last year. I wonder if Jeremy has a contact there, because I feel like, was it Jeremy or Maria maybe?
I think
That would
Jeremy like
know.
knows the HRC person in
Yeah.
Stoneham or something. They were trying to set up an HRC in Stoneham and he was like talking to them about it.
Yeah, okay.
Are we gonna promote any sort of media this year, like other than books or any sort of like movies or shows? Because there's it was added last year or maybe recently, but it's from last year. It's called My Name is Polly Murray.
Hmm.
It's on Amazon Prime Video.
Yeah, we could put together like a list of like movies that are like accessible through streaming or also Canopy. Like Canopy has a lot of great like documentaries and stuff. Because we did that for a couple of holidays this past year of like movie suggestions, you know, and then it would be like for kids and family, like for not for kids, you know, different like categories, and then just like a handful of movies that you can access. Because yeah, the movie about Polly Murray, there's also a documentary about Marsha P. Johnson. There's like tons. There's so many documentaries that could be, or other, not just documentaries, but other musicians or artists, or like there's all kinds of stuff we could promote.
Yeah. I know we have a lot of eggs in our basket, but throw one extra in.
I feel like that one's a pretty not low hanging fruit, but it's like, you know, you don't have to like coordinate with a bunch of humans. It's just like put together a list.
Yeah.
It's like nice.
And things that like we've seen
Mm-hmm.
it would recommend.
Yeah.
Like maybe community members would recommend. And that's great too. It's like, say if it's a Facebook post that we we can invite people in the comments. Oh wait, can they comment? Yeah, in the comments to
Yeah.
recommend if they don't see something that they loved on that list.
Yeah. Okay. It is 6:59. I can't remember which one of you has to leave at 7, but I feel like one of you does. Maybe I made that up. What I am thinking is, can we solidify who wants to do what? So I'm definitely contacting Steve Mayo about our permit. Other things I heard that sort of like should get followed up on are writing the actual thing, drafting the response to that letter from the item. I'm happy to work on it. I don't know if there's somebody who like has strong feelings, would like to knock ideas around with me.
Benny, you and I have written things together. We
Yeah,
could
you
do
want to
it.
work on it?
You guys are a
Alright.
good team. If the businesses, if we're allowed to have other vendors as part of our celebration, I can take on reaching out to businesses to see if they would be available and or interested in coming.
Cool. What else? There was talk of inviting,
What does that leave and what can I do?
there's inviting the students or any other humans who would be interested in like participating in the flag raising ceremony.
Can we please have
I
that-
can talk to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, can we please have that group sing that song? Oh my God.
Yeah, Eileen, do you know
Years.
who is involved in that?
Yeah, Keenan Riley. I'll reach out to him.
Nice. There's also, Lindsay, maybe I can put you in contact with, I don't know the youth, but I know the adults who are involved in the, I can't even remember what it's called, whatever the like youth, like queer alliance group is.
Well,
Um,
I'm meeting with Yana in general, like anyway. So I wonder if like that's something that I can ask her about.
Yeah,
you know,
ask
what,
her.
I guess what specifically would you want? How would we want the youth involved? Like what specifically? I guess would I be asking? I'm happy to. We can definitely add that to our agenda of nondescript agenda items, which is just basically talking about things like this. It sounds great. I'll definitely
Yes,
talk to
I
her about
have
it.
two thoughts.
What-
One is there a queer alliance at the high school that she can put us in contact with who would like to give us feedback about what they would like to see in our
Okay.
events? Because I would love to hear from them, either if they want to be involved or if they just even want to say like ideas for us to consider, you know? And then also, I don't know if this is a task for Yana specifically, but whoever, like, as we're going down this path, like, who's excited about participating? Like, do you want to read a poem? Yeah, cool. You have a home
If
in
if any kids
our
want
private.
to participate, kind of thing.
Yeah.
If that is that, yeah, absolutely.
So I'm happy to put you in contact with these. It's like 3 or 4 people who are sort of like adult advisors of some sort. But I bet you that Yana can put you in contact with whoever the students are.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you. And like I said, I think it's either this Friday or next Friday. I don't have my planner in front of me. I'm sorry, but I will talk to her about that when I meet with her some point soon. One of the Fridays.
And if we want to go the route of, if we want to do like a quick panel discussion, I can come up with some ideas. Eileen, I don't know if you'd mind if I could like bounce them off to you to just be like, what do you think would be good to bring? Because it's like, we gotta be very intentional with this. It's rather than like, let's get a bunch of people like put together and ask some questions. So I just want to have like some intention, because then maybe when we put out a call for members of the community as panelists or a moderator, we can say this is what the panel is going to discuss, or like this is what the panel is about, so that way people understand what they're signing up for.
Daniela, are you thinking that this is separate from Pride Flag Raising Day? And like, will this be like a completely separate, or are you thinking it is on the same day as I've now made it one word, flag,
Flag raising.
prize. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be either or. If we have like a lot of the kids coming in, if we have like we have the song, the music, poetry reading, I think the panel could stand by itself. The panel could be remote. It could be something that's at the concert on the 19th. Or we keep it, or we could have it on the flag raising. That's the other thing, is we not only need to see if there are members of the community who would be willing to be a panelist, but also are they available and when are they available for? So
Right.
I don't know if we want to be prescriptive when we're calling for panelists that this is going to take place on this date at this time, or if we want to keep that open-ended. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know if we're going to get a lot of people or if we're going to get few people, and I don't want to limit that pool.
I would vote for a virtual, if we want to do a panel, I would do a virtual panel, and then that hits the people that like are not comfortable coming to the flag raising or are not big into music festivals or whatever, or music event. I don't know why I have this in my head that it's a festival, but because it'll be festive. But yeah, I think maybe it's a virtual thing and we can iron out what that looks like.
Yeah, I've been on.
I have a quick idea really quick. Then I actually do. I can't say, I could say it a little bit longer, but not too much past 7. I apologize for that. I have a meeting at 7:30, but to kind of piggyback off of Lucy's idea with the sign piece, or everyone's idea really with the sign piece, like, and with the youth piece, I mean, it might be overcomplicating the flag raising if we had a panel like on that day at the location, especially if like kids would be there. I do think we need to be intentional with the audience, but I also think it's a great idea and I would love to see that happen because that's a fabulous idea. I think it might be cool to see like if the kids, or maybe even community members who aren't kids, but what if they come up with some art that we could put on the back of these signs that, you know, is representative of them and, you know, their feelings about, you know, just their community, or, you know, how they feel about pride in general and the event. What if we have, you know, them submit some art if they want to, or some sort of things like that that we can put on these signs so that we can display without overcomplicating it, so people can, you know, enjoy creations made by members of their community that are representative of them. And obviously we want to screen that for appropriateness, I would think, on some level, but I would also think hopefully it's coming from kids in, you know, GSA or whatever acronym that specific town is using or group, but the whatever alliance that exists at the school, or any school, not just the high school. Even we could extend that to the elementary schools and see what the kids come up with too in the middle schools. And I think, you know, we could get some good stuff to have just present at the flag raising, you know, that's includes the community members. So I wanted to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, we, for Martin Luther King and Curtis Scott King Day, we in the past have like sent out a thing in the each school's principal like sends out a newsletter, and you can like submit things to them to include in the newsletter. And so in the past we've included a thing that's like, hey, submit your art to be included in this like program, and then they'll like send their art to us and we'll put it in the thing. So we could do a similar thing like that, just sending it. So that goes directly to the families, and then they're with their kids. And if they want to be like, make some cool art, we'll send it to the WHRC. Then we'll get like this random smattering of artwork. And or what really gets us a lot of art is if we coordinate with the art teachers and they like do a project. They do that. They have done that in the past for MLK Day. And it's like, it's good, you know, it fits in with the curriculum, and they can like do it in a class with like multiple different age groups. So we get a bunch of different art. I'm not totally clear on whether the like schools would do like a LGBT art project, but we could ask.
Middle school has a diversity club, so I'm sure that they'd be down for something like that.
Yeah, so I feel like contacting either the teacher or the advisor or whoever it is who's in charge, like the guidance counselor guy at the middle school. These are like cool people who help us with like getting these projects off the ground with the students. So we can contact the families directly through the newsletters, and we can contact the like through the school, through the diversity club or the guidance department or the art teachers or whoever it is.
Cool.
Just wanted to be clear, I don't have any contacts like that. I'm not sure if I'd be of use to be able to actually contact anyone outside of like the youth council in terms of like that demographic. But Eileen, do you know anyone who maybe, I mean, is that
Yeah,
someone in middle school? Would you be able to maybe reach out and see if,
yeah, I think her name is Bonnie Warren, so I can email her, and then Lindsay, I can even copy you on it if you want.
Sure.
And you
Yeah,
can
that'd be great.
add to it.
yeah, thanks.
Like this document on our OneDrive or SharePoint of contacts, because we should probably update that with these names, because it might be relevant in the future years.
I consistently lose that link and need to go and search for it every single time. So if you want, Daniela, send it to me again, and then I'm happy to add more in.
I don't even know if I have the link to the OneDrive. I just had that one Excel spreadsheet that was an attachment. Like,
Oh, okay. All right, good.
here.
Okay.
So,
I was like, it's saved somewhere and I cannot remember where. So cool. This is great.
Yeah, exciting. Can I tell you, I got an email back from Maria, which is the fastest I have ever gotten an email back from Maria about anything. So we're in luck. It says, it depends on how we want to sign the letter. So if the letter is signed by the Pride Subcommittee, the Pride Subcommittee can like submit a letter to the item. If it were signed by the HRC, we would have to bring it back to the HRC, which, you know, then would take a couple more weeks. So she also said, I don't know what she's referring to, but she says, another thought, in the spirit of the joint statement from a few years ago, what about a joint letter from us, the town council, and the school committee chair? Me, the HRC chair, the town council chair, and the school committee chair.
that's a good idea,
Yeah, that is a good
because then
idea.
that hits like other.
I like it.
And it brings everyone together as well, and it shows like kind of a unified front with that piece. I think that's a good idea too.
I think I know what she's referencing. I remember seeing it. I don't even remember what it was about, but it was.
Oh, there's a joint statement that it's the sort of like Wakefield is a welcoming community. I will tell you, it took like months and months and months. It was like a mind-numbing process to get that thing written because it had to go before the HRC. We drafted it. We sent it to the council to approve it. They sent it to the school committee to approve it. And each stage it would get like slightly edited. And so then the new edit had to go around to each council to get it approved. It was like a nightmare of bureaucracy. Anyway.
Love that.
But basically, we should probably just do it as a Pride Subcommittee thing and not overcomplicate it if we want to do it like that. That might be the
Yeah, it's a
easiest.
question, right? It's like, which is more impactful, timeliness or this kind of like joint, you know, like show of solidarity?
Could we do both? Could we address this as a Pride Subcommittee and then do a joint solidarity overall statement? Because I mean, this isn't just, you know, specific to Pride. This is specific to like the community and in general and many different things, as evidenced by the how that was worded. But yeah, I mean, I think we could probably do both of those things, right?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, because then we get something that's done a little quicker, plus depending on whether, like how long it takes to get a hold of the school committee chair and the town council chair and coordinating stuff, it'll be a while, whatever.
Benny, isn't there a blanket statement meant for purposes like this to be sent out on behalf of the HRC in timely manner that we could put out like today?
Yeah.
Even? And
Yeah,
then,
let me read it to you. It's like a little bit awkward in terms of the wording, like how it would fit in with this.
Okay.
Let me find it. It's like a boilerplate statement, so we can't really change the wording because the wording itself has already been approved by the HRC,
Mhm.
but we can like fill in the blanks basically. Can I find it is the real question. Template for responding to incidents, what it's called.
So ominous.
I mean, I think timeliness in this particular case might be important just because of the timing of the article with along with the upcoming events and with the ongoing flag, you know, thing. I think, you know, we should respond in a timely way, but also I think it would be helpful to have the solidarity with other councils and committees to show, that we're unified and kind of
Yeah.
in our message or about the time, our feelings in relation to this.
So the template language for responding to incidents is, in response to blank, the Wakefield Human Rights Commission would like to take this opportunity to reaffirm our town's commitment to building a supportive and welcoming community. Acts of blank, such as blank, will not be tolerated. And then it says, these incidents will not define us. As stated in our town's proclamation of acceptance and openness amongst all our citizens, that's the one that was drafted between the town council and the HRC and the school committee. We stand together and support our affected neighbors. We condemn acts of intolerance or injustice. We want to promote a community of acceptance and foster understanding and appreciation of diversity. Join us in spreading positivity and celebrating what we all bring to Wakefield.
So even if we don't add things, can we just use parts that were already approved? Because I do think there's at least some of that we.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I mean, I think this
not all
this
of it reads
statement
seamlessly
is
to
like
this, for sure.
This statement is fine, but I think that we can take the opportunity to write a statement that actually is like more relevant to this issue. And if we sign it from the Pride Subcommittee, we can do that with like a reasonable amount of quickness. Well, I guess the question is, when should we meet again? Because
So
we
Benny,
could, yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
if you and I meet and we draft something, is today Monday? Today's usually Monday, right? Okay. If we do that in the next couple days, then we can plan for all of us to meet again after that, right? Is that kind of what we're thinking?
Yeah, and then we can, as our own subcommittee, approve it and send it off.
I'm gonna go get my planner, so you're gonna see Dracula for a moment. So I'll be right back.
Oh, everybody loves Dracula. His face looks like an ovary. I mean, like a, don't you think it looks like a uterus and ovaries? That's what I think every time I see his face.
So cute.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Even if we submit a response, it doesn't mean that they'll print it, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I did just want to offer unsolicited my perspective on the like who a response should come from. I do feel that it's not just a LGBTQ issue, that like that was so hateful on so many levels, and also so much not about being inclusive or caring or kind. And so I think from my perspective, I think it's helpful to have multiple coalitions co-signing that, because when anyone is treated like that, like all oppressed people feel that. And so that's what I was thinking. I do agree that the speed, or I don't know, I feel a little conflicted about the speed, because like how much attention do you give it, but also make sure that it's important.
Sure.
So I agree with everything you all are saying. And I'm, again, just really grateful to be here. So thanks.
Oh, we're grateful to have you. I'm so glad to see you here. Thanks for coming. When are we meeting next? Because I unfortunately do need to jump off in a minute. I'm so sorry.
Okay, I can do we want to meet next week, or we want to do like a weekly thing, every 2 weeks thing? I mean, June is not for a while yet, but we have to sort of, I don't know. What do you think?
Are we able to see a draft and like give it a thumbs up before we meet?
Yeah, you can see a draft. You can't make any commentary on it to the
Right.
whole group. I think what you're allowed to do is respond directly to me and Eileen, but not
Individually.
Yeah, not in a group
Okay.
email.
Yeah, so then that way, because like if we can, if you get that, you send it to us, we can just respond to one of you and be like, good, no notes on my part, send it out. In which case, then I think next week would be fine.
How soon do we have to, I can never get it right. how soon do we have to send to the town in order for them to post that we're having a subcommittee meeting? Is it a week?
That's a good point.
No, they like 72
3 days.
hours.
72 hours, okay. So depending on, Benny, what your nights look like.
Well, if we're talking about next week, I'm free on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. After work.
Thursday, Friday works for me. And Tuesday.
What time are you talking? What is after work? I guess what would that look like for
For me, it's
anyone? Because
usually-
for me, my work day sometimes isn't until 8. So after work, I'm going to be honest with you. Mondays are going to be pretty much it for me most of the time. Possibly Fridays once in a while, but I work until 7 or 8. Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday sometimes. So Mondays or Fridays I could probably do around 5.
I usually get home around 6.
Or 6. Yeah,
Me too.
6 would be better actually.
I mean, April 11th or the 15th are good for me. That's the Monday,
Yeah,
Friday.
Yeah,
I could do either of these right now. Either of those right now. Yeah.
I can make it work. What about you, Daniela?
I can do the 15th.
Okay.
Anytime after, yeah, just anytime. That day's open.
Yeah.
That might be good. And then Benny, you and I can meet this weekend in the morning.
That actually, my meeting with Yana is this Friday, so that will be good because hopefully maybe I can update
Oh, cool.
or
Then you might
at
have
least some
some-
feedback from Yana, in regards to ways in which the youth council might want to participate or be already doing something, or generally speaking, youth at the high school. So I'm meeting with her this Friday at 5, hopefully, as long as nothing gets altered with that. So that works out well too.
So did we say 6 p.m. on the 15th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That in my calendar. Okay. Great. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, Lucy, for,
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
I hope you felt like you were able to do something. I understand that feeling. It's how I joined the HRC in the first place. And you're always welcome to this meeting, but also our weekly meetings. They're a little bit more structured. So there's 3 minutes in the beginning that for public comment and participation, but the subcommittees are a little bit more flexible.
Cool. And those are weekly?
Oh, no.
Monthly meetings, not
Monthly.
weekly, they're monthly.
Third Tuesday, 7 p.m.
Yeah, third Tuesdays.
Cool. All right. Well, I will see you all a week from Friday. And Eileen, due to my work snafu, I don't even have my phone right now, so I can't text you, but I will email you maybe sometimes this weekend that we can meet up.
Perfect.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks,
You all
everybody.
have a good evening.
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
Thank you.